A final from America's game in Landover, Maryland, and a fake punt by Navy on 4th and 5. Give it up for the big man, Landon Robinson. He did fumble, but the midshipmen recover, and it leads to another Blake Horvath touchdown. 4 total touchdowns for the Navy quarterback. What a play there on 4th and 5 to make a call like that. And Navy defeats Army. Are you kidding me? 31-13, defeating a ranked Army team for the first time since 1957. The Commander-in-Chief's trophy headed to Annapolis. And let's welcome in Tom Fornelli, CBS Sports HQ, presented by USAA, proud presenter for the Army-Navy game. And Tom, I'm sitting here because we have watched Army-Navy all season, and a lot of people just perhaps tuning in to watching these teams. Maybe they watched Notre Dame when each of these teams played Notre Dame. But look, I'm stunned by the result of this game, Navy beating Army. Your reaction is what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not stunned that Navy won because this is one of those throw out the record books kind of rivalries. But I am stunned by the manner in which Navy did win this game, winning by 18 points and, frankly, just kind of dominating Army from the very onset of the game. They received the opening kickoff, marched 65 yards for the touchdown, and they never gave up the lead after that point. Blake Horvath, where have you been all my life with this performance today? I was worried about him coming into this game. He was hurt in the Tulane game a few weeks ago, did not play in Navy's last game against ECU, and I was wondering how healthy he would be. Well, Akeem, he looked pretty healthy, throwing for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns and rushing for 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. His 204 yards is more than Army had as a team, as they finished with only 178. And on the other side, Bryson Daly, who the Heisman ceremony is tonight. Daly will not be there, but he finished 6th in the Heisman voting, and he looked anything other than a Heisman candidate today with the 3 interceptions. The Navy defense really stymied that Army rushing attack. He wasn't able to get anything going on the ground, and it's crazy because we were talking before we were on air. This is an Army team that turned the ball over 5 times all season long. They had 3 today.
Yeah.
It was a completely unexpected performance from the Knights. 3
interceptions thrown by Bryson Daly. You mentioned 6th in Heisman voting. He had only had 1 interception all season. So let that sink in. He throws 3 in this game. He had 1 the entire season, a season in which they won 11 games. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, how does this happen? This kid looks basically indestructible and Captain America. What happened today?
I think you have to give a lot of credit to this Navy defense. They just took away the ground game. Like, there was no available rushing lanes. Kanye Udo was held to only 53 yards on 14 carries, and you got to remember that 12 of that came on 1. But Bryson Daly only had 52 yards on 19 carries for 2.7 yards per carry. And more importantly, he didn't have a single run longer than 5 yards in the entire game. Navy took away the explosive running game. They forced him to drop back and become a passer, which, as good as Daly has been, listen, his forte has never been dropping back to throw the ball repeatedly. So for him to do that and throw 16 passes today, 3 of which were intercepted, they got Army out of their comfort zone and forced them to do things that they don't want to do, and it worked perfectly for Navy. They took away the run game, forced Daly to become a passer, and all he did was throw the ball directly to Navy. And then there was also the one play where he had the wide receiver wide open in the end zone, and he overthrew him, and it was a real missed opportunity that, looking back, kind of finished the game.
Yeah, Army had just 113 yards on the ground. Consider they averaged 314 per game. That's number 1, first in all of FBS, and they could not get the ground game going, and that's how they run their offense. That's just what they do. They don't throw the ball a whole lot. We know that when you talk about the service academies, and you look at what Blake Horvath was able to do, 4 total touchdowns. He was putting on a clinic out there. And look, he was the less heralded quarterback in this matchup, right?
Yeah.
But he became the star of the show.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic because you could tell going into this game that Army's game plan was, all right, look, Eli Heidenreich is the superstar in this Navy offense. We are going to take Eli Heidenreich away and force them to beat us any other way possible. And Blake Horvath said, all right, cool, I'll do that. That's exactly, he had the 204 yards rushing, and there was the 52-yard pass to Heidenreich. So even though Army was mostly successful in its plan, they did still give up the one big play where he caught the short pass, shook one tackler, and took off down the sideline. It was just this is like your Navy. This was a team that really can't forget. Before that Notre Dame loss was playing spectacular football. They were undefeated. They had a terrible performance against the Fighting Irish that kind of threw their season, out of whack. The next week they lost again to Rice, and things just kind of fell apart. But the Navy team we saw today looked a lot more like the Navy team we were seeing in the first half of the season. And we see when they play well, they're capable of doing stuff like this. It's just, as we talked about already, nobody saw this coming today. I thought Army would just kind of overpower them. I thought they had been the better team all season. I thought they had the better quarterback, and all of that was flipped on its head this afternoon.
Yeah, their 19 combined wins were the most combined wins in their matchup all time. Both had fantastic seasons. Of course, Army won the American Athletic Conference in their first season in the conference, beating Tulane, which Navy lost to Tulane, which is why we're sitting here going, what just got flipped on our heads here? And Navy pulls out the win again, their first win against a ranked Army team since 1957. I mean, my gosh, you are going way back. And let's head back out to Landover, Maryland. Jenny Dell with the Navy head coach Brian Newberry.
Coach, an Army-Navy victory.
Yep.
The Commander-in-Chief trophy is now secured. Your first time as a head coach. Does it get any better than this?
It doesn't. I'll tell you what, we still got a football team in Annapolis, and so happy for these players. I don't think a lot of people gave us a chance, and just shows the character of our players, man. So happy for these guys, especially these seniors, all they've been through, just the toughness and the grit, and they played lights out today. I couldn't be more proud.
Blake had quite the game out there. How did he use his emotions and his skills as a weapon?
Well, he just played his game. He's been doing it all year. He's been a little banged up, but he was a stud today, and O-line played really well, and it's a great team effort. They played complimentary football, and I couldn't be more happy about the way we did it today.
Congratulations,
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Brian Newberry in his 6th season at the Naval Academy, 2nd as their head coach, and Tom as a dean of beards. That's maybe one of the best beards in all of college football, Brian Newberry. I mean, that is just perfectly groomed. I mean, he looked great.
What else do you expect from a Navy man,
Yes.
Hakeem? They're always very disciplined, and they take care and they make sure things are neat and orderly, and you could tell Brian Newberry is definitely doing that with his beard.
Tom, when you have a guy like Brian Newberry who knows about this rivalry, knows what it means to play in a game like this, now in his 2nd year as the head coach, what do you think that means to him and his program? You heard him there. We got a football team in Annapolis.
Oh, I think it's huge. Like, this is a situation where you mentioned Army won the American Athletic Conference, its first year in the league. It was considered a college football playoff hopeful until the very end of the season when Boise State was able to win the Mountain West and hold on to that spot. But none of that matters when you lose this game. It's really not all that dissimilar to what we see in the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. Everything both of these teams do all year is designed for this one game and to help win that Commander-in-Chief's trophy. So even if Navy's season was thrown out of whack, I'm telling you, all those aches and pains and whatever Blake Horvath specifically has been dealing with these last few weeks, they're not feeling any of it right now. The only thing they feel is elation, and as if they have finished it. It's a mission accomplished for them. They did the job. This is huge. This is everything to both of these programs. So this is a huge one for Newberry to get his first. And it also, like he said, Navy still has a football program. I do think that's an important statement because we have seen in recent years, as they've been in the American, they've kind of fallen off after dominating this rivalry for a very long time. Army had taken control of it. So for them to get this win, I think just means even more to everybody involved in the academy.
The Commander-in-Chief's trophy heading back to Annapolis as they combined for 44 points in this one, the most in an Army-Navy game since 2011. Blake Horvath, have a day, kid. 4 total touchdowns. It just was not the day for Bryson Daly as he throws 3 picks in the loss, but they both have bowl games to go to, so it's not the last that we'll see of these teams. But Navy getting a massive win in the 125th meeting between Army and Navy. Back out to Landover, Maryland. Welcome to the man who helped call this game, Gary Danielson. And Gary, I'm shocked by the result of this game, and having watched Army and Navy all season, what's your reaction to how this game played out?
Well, I wouldn't use shocked. I mean, obviously I thought that Army had, going in, more ways to win the football game. But this Navy team, I just think, not playing in the championship game gave them an extra week of work. Got tired of hearing about how good this Army physical football was. If you're Well, what a Navy midshipman. You're a Mitty hearing that for week after week, how physical the other guy is. I mean, you get tired of that. And this Navy team was tired of hearing how physical Army was. They were the more physical football team in this game.
And how about Blake Horvath, the less heralded quarterback in this matchup? Bryson Daly, 6th in Heisman voting, and he goes out and has 4 total touchdowns. What did you see from that young man?
You know, Blake was having a big-time year. Halfway through the season, there were a lot of people talking about him being in the hunt for the Heisman. He got nicked up, got banged up a little bit, had to miss a game, but even then, even before that, he wasn't like he is today. And I thought the play calling was great. The offensive line did their job. You know, the Army defense just did not seem comfortable. The misdirection that new offensive coordinator Drew Cronick has brought to this Navy team kept the Army team off balance, and that was a big difference in the game. But like you said, Blake Horvath, the other guy, he rushed for over 200, he threw for over 100. That's a pretty darn good game in an Army-Navy game.
Yeah, one of the all-time great performances by a Navy quarterback in the Army-Navy game, the 125th matchup. And, Gary, you've been a part of this Army-Navy game broadcast for nearly 2 decades. What strikes you about this game each and every year that you get a chance to call it?
Yep. You know, I start like on Monday and Tuesday, and you know, I know a couple of the guys I follow. I kind of read the articles. Then you turn the tape on. It's just such an honor to dive into these players, look at their background, look at their families, their brothers, their uncles, all committed to the service. Not all of them, but a good part of them. Good, healthy Americans from all over the country, all nationalities, races, genders. You know, the females are, the cadets are up there. They're in their own sports. They all band together for this one special day. It just shows you all the good that our country has in this game. Everybody gets along. Yeah, they really bad want to beat the other guy, but it's not with disrespect. It's respect for the Warriors on the other side, and that's the best victory. When you're beating someone you respect, nothing is sweeter.
Yeah, there's nothing like this game. Army-Navy, one of the great rivalries in all of sports. Gary Danielson chronicling it for us on CBS. Gary, appreciate it and enjoyed the conversation post-game throughout the year here on CBS Sports HQ. Thanks for making time for us this season.
Hey, it's been great. You guys do a great job. Thank you.